Welcome back. Hope you're having a good morning. Well, for starters, the SGX Nifty suggesting that after a nice long weekend, we're likely to see some more green to kickstart trades. So let's hope that is the case, and hopefully the bulls will be hoping that can hold out. But let's discuss a couple of stocks then. Market expert Anand Tandon joins us on the show. Hi, Anand. Good morning. Thanks so much for joining in. Anand, today we've got a couple of operational updates coming in from some realty players, both Godrej Properties as well as Shobha. What's your view on the real estate space, and if at all, any particular view on both these two stocks?
Well, incrementally, Nigel, the news has been positive, right? Because now that you are not expecting serious increase in interest rates, the demand was already quite robust, and the only fear that one had was that whether it will get dulled down because of the increase in mortgage rates as interest rates go up. That has been taken out of the calculation for the near term. And with that, there is no particular reason to assume that demand will not continue to remain robust, at least for the next couple of quarters at least. And the commentary that you are hearing is also indicative of that. I think the longer term picture is that at least, for example, in some parts of the South, the housing starts, as they are called, have actually slowed down somewhat over the last quarter or so. But that doesn't mean that over the next year or so, there will not be enough new supply coming in as well. So I would expect most of these companies to report very robust numbers.
The other stock that is in focus this morning is Tata Motors, Anand. There is an upgrade coming from Goldman Sachs this morning. We just spoke about that. The thesis of their upgrade is A, valuations are looking much better than even the historic valuations that Tata Motors has been trading at. And B, starting 2025, Tata Motors will be introducing electric vehicles in both Jaguar and Land Rover brands. And, the pipeline is looking very strong. Do you think it's a good time to be buying this stock?
Well, I think, the domestic market, if you look at Tata Motors, they have actually improved their portfolio very considerably, and so has the performance. In the international markets, I think there are two issues that you may want to consider. One is that the order book that remains has kind of trimmed down quite considerably, and while the companies is indicating that they've been focusing on making sure that they meet some of the old orders, the reality is that if new orders pipeline doesn't pick up, that becomes an issue. And given that much of their sales happens, or at least a significant part happens in Europe, there could be issues going into the second and third quarter of the calendar year for the demand slowing down considerably there as well if some of the recession fears comes through. That aside, the positive is that the debt will come down. Hopefully, maybe £1 billion almost coming off, and that will certainly help in increasing the equity valuation of the company. So, a long story short, valuations are now reasonable. I think earnings growth will be quite strong this year. Tata Motors can be part of your portfolio.
Anand, good morning. One is your thoughts on the companies like Barbecue Nation. The stock had a big move, some 13-14%. That entire pack actually has been quick service formats have been under a fair bit of pressure. Do you see any turnarounds here? And then, if you will, comment on NBFCs. Chola Finance had a very good day last Thursday, which was the last trading session, and so did many others in that space. In the light of what the RBI has done, which is a pause. Go on.
So clearly, as far as NBFC is concerned, it is a positive, right? Because if wholesale rates are not going to be moving up as much, the big fear that I had at least was that, this would be a year where collecting deposits will be far more important than putting up assets. It does remain that. I mean, given the fact that credit growth is coming through in a very robust way, you would need to, pick up the liability side as well. But now that you've put a pause on in terms of where the interest rates will go, it means that to some extent, that will become less of an issue, perhaps. That said, between NBFCs and banks, I would still prefer banks with strong liability franchise. But among the NBFCs, there is no question that Chola is one of the best companies that you can get and has managed to deliver very strong performance for many, many quarters consistently. So from a perspective of, a slightly longer term view, Chola is something that you may want to look at. On the QSR, I think if you are looking at consumption space, I would have preferred so far the rural space much more than the urban, where QSRs operate largely because of the fact that one is expecting to see much better rural incomes. And though there are fears of monsoon not being so good, I think what the fact is that given the prices at which you would be trading some of the commodities that you'll be producing, you should be making reasonable amount of money. And also the fact that many of the states have election years, so many of the subsidies and programs of the governments would be pushing money into the rural markets. So between urban and rural, I would prefer rural plays rather than urban plays. And consequently, you look at focusing on things that can be driven by rural demand, like tractors, two-wheelers, perhaps. I think two-wheelers is something that has been beaten down quite badly. And although it has seen some recovery in the last few trading sessions, etc., I think there is perhaps some more space there.
Okay, all right. Anand, I want to ask you about Godrej Consumer. We had the management a couple of days ago on the channel. And, the last quarter was a little bit rough, but they're guiding for better things in the coming year. Your view on that stock?
So, there has been a change there in the management, and therefore you would expect to see that, there will be a period over which there will be some changes that the management has to make, and after which you would expect to get much better performance. We haven't yet seen significant improvement yet, especially, in some of their core portfolios. Overall, I think if you are looking at buying consumer at this stage, again, as I just was trying to make a case for buying rural, you would look for rural players to some extent because of the, the anti-mosquitoes and so on, things like Godrej has, they would also be partial beneficiaries. But I would think companies like Dabur, etc., may be slightly better placed.
Right, we'll come back to you in a bit. The other